Hey, what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of BrassRingMedia.com. I can't put like my icons up or anything like that. StreamYard is acting weird. I'm like trying to change the brand here. Did it work? Didn't work. No. So I'm trying to change the brand and it's just not working. I'm on RVD, that brand, and in the StreamYard, just not working. But what are you gonna do? How's everybody doing? Tuesday night, people are tuning into NXT. Triple E's reminded me of that. Why do you got to do this during NXT? uh, is there a Greg and Magnum episode this week about a Fonzie? And what about a Fonzie episode? So Fonzie, we're gonna wait till next week. I talked to Fonzie today, actually, so we'll pick it back up again next week with Fonzie. I'll connect with Greg and Magnum and see what the plan is with that. Triple E says, any predictions for Obafemi versus Trick Williams? Winner takes both titles, NXT and TNE. I'm praying Oba wins. That's a good question. Like I said, I haven't watched NXT, but I do think there's value in bringing Obafemi up to the main roster. So if that's what they're deciding to do, is maybe give Trick Williams. Maybe they're doing that with Trick though too. Who knows? I just think there's value in bringing Obafemi up. I almost want to make a case for him to be John Cena's last opponent. You can really reflect having John Cena do what he did to Kurt Angle and have Obafemi do what John Cena did to Kurt Angle with ruthless aggression. I just think that's a cool thing to do, and it immediately puts somebody over. I would have John Cena's final opponent remain a mystery until he gets to the ring. And then he does it, and boom, out comes Obafemi. It's his final match. I think that's the way to do it. Full circle moment. Mark it down. That's what's going to happen. Hello to Gremlin House Wrestling. One of a kind tonight. Rob and I might be going Thursday. I got to text Rob, too. But that's on the agenda, obviously, me and Rob. I thank Rob for letting me use his account here as we stream live for you folks. Mike Sweeney says, welcome, Dom. I know Rob talked about having a farewell tour match for John Cena. If they were to, they would have to go back to Hammerstein, right? Man, you would think so. If the stars aligned where Rob didn't get hurt, injured his heels, and was able to do something, you'd think that they would do that. But I think, the ultimate focus would be on Cena's farewell. So, I mean, it's not a necessity, but it sure would be cool full circle, right? I mean, even if you did it somewhere like Philadelphia or anything to that effect. But I think just the simple fact that Rob would have been on his final opponent list would have been awesome and really, really cool. Unfortunately, Rob is hurt, so he can't go. Dang it. Stinks. Triple E says, it would have been cool to see Obafemi run out to stop Brock last Saturday. That would have been pretty cool. I think I want to think that's what I want to. This is just my pie in the sky kind of thought, is like, that would be super cool. That's how you should send Cena off. And I can imagine Cena making a case for wanting to do that. I think he will lose in his final match. It just depends on, especially if it's a younger opponent. You could say Braun Breaker's that guy. But I think what you'd have to weigh it out with is Obafemi. Do they have full confidence in Obafemi to be a really, really, really huge star for years to come in WWE? And if that's the case, and Cena's game for it, boom, I'd put Obafemi in that spot and then have Cena do the favors for him on his farewell match. Sounds crazy, right? But the little that I've seen of Obafemi, I liked. He's got a great presence. And he'd be my pick. I know somebody on Rumor and Innuendo the other day made the mention of Braun Breaker, and I think he's also a good one. But I think you want to make new stars, and Braun Breaker's already on that path. I don't think you need him to beat John Cena to establish him even more. So I'd put if I were to put my chips on somebody, I'd do it with Obafemi and see where that goes. So there we go. Okay, reason I'm doing this one today, I figured I'd hop back on. Don't know if I'm calling it the hotline anymore, because it's like, is it daily? That's not. I think I'm going to go live every time I do something like this, though, either way. Might keep it the hotline, might not. Who knows? Whatever. Whatever. I'm just streaming live. I have a farmer's tan. I've got this A tank on. Really did dressed for the occasion, didn't I? But hey, I did want to talk the aspect. What got a lot of really negative and weird feedback online is ESPN reviewing WrestlePalooza. Well, if Triple E's familiar with this discussion earlier in the day, I figured I would do this to Brass Ring Media, and because I really wanted to talk about this. Was this people giving ESPN flack for having a review that gave it a C, I believe a C minus? Well, let's make clear, ESPN it's not ESPN giving the review. It's Andreas Hale of ESPN giving the review. And the great thing about having somebody like Andreas Hale is that he's great at what he does. He's honest. And so I do not think you should fault, number one, certainly not Andres for giving his honest opinion. Number two, you should credit ESPN for allowing that to happen and letting this fair assessment in. When I was on the media call with the ESPN executives ahead of WrestlePalooza, Brandon Thurston made mention about, like, are you going to be kind of fair and balanced, basically, and allow people outside, outlets that review other products, hinting at AEW, to give their critiques and stuff like that. And they were like, yes, absolutely. Well, look, if they set the precedent in-house to give Andres Hale, who is he's unbiased, he gives his forthright opinion, and he's a journalist. He's covered boxing for years on end, combat sports. So, he knows the wrestling product. So there should not be a problem here. Everybody should laud ESPN for doing this, and laud Andres Hale for giving his honest opinion, not being afraid to say what he wants. So yes, I'm just going to go down through the letter grades here. Overall, I thought WrestlePalooza, I would kind of agree with Andreas on this. Maybe he gave it, what did he give again? He gave it a C. I'd maybe give it, if you're doing this, the plus minuses things, I give it a C plus. I do think, and the only aspect that's I'm really taking away from maybe, giving it, maybe I would have gave it maybe a B minus ultimately if like there wasn't promotion of potential surprises happening. I think that was hinted earlier on. So I think you get the fans' expectations up to tune in, and then you don't get that many surprises. So you don't necessarily, and so I think from that, the expectations coming in, I think the expectations got heightened and then lowered once it was witnessed. But Andres does a good job here. He gave Vicor versus Io Sky a B plus of a match, and that was a good match. Gave the Usos and the Vision a C. There was a botch finish, with Jay accidentally hitting himself with the chair, cutting himself open with the chair, and so they had to call an audible nearing the end of this match. The only match I'll probably give a higher letter grade to that he did was Punk and AJ Lee versus Rollins and Lynch. I just think that it was a spectacle, and it gave the event a different tone, and I thought a fun tone. So I would have gave that one probably a higher grade than that. I probably would have gave that a B ultimately, and maybe even Vicor and Io like an A minus. But Rhodes and McIntyre I can agree with. It was a little rushed. Cena being defeated by Lesnar pinfall. I think that's maybe I would give that a C or a B minus too. I would have probably given this an overall higher letter grade, I think, of a show. But Andres does a wonderful job, and credit to him and credit to ESPN for allowing him to do that. There should be no flack. I can't believe the amount of flack. I mean, I can because it's social media. Like, what else is new? But I mean, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of hey, this is how things are covered, It'd just be like ESPN going like, "Hey, we have we have the Dolphins and the Jets, and the game was a complete stinker, and them giving it like a B because it was on their program. It's stupid to do. Like so. Credit to ESPN and credit to Andres for giving his honest opinion. Triple E says ESPN grade is reasonable. C grade is reasonable. W could have done more with Brock, like R-Truth or Obo run and face him for Cena beatdown or something else. And the Usos versus the Bronze was flatter than Paris Hilton. So yeah, I mean, some of those matches did not hit or resonate as well as maybe they should have. But yeah, I think ultimately they did their point. They got you have Brock and Cena, and that's a spectacle in itself. So I think that was fair. And yeah, plus AJ Lee making her return to the ring in a fascinating tag match between Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and her husband CM Punk. I thought it was cool. Ultimately, like I don't think it was like a, oh my gosh, an epic kind of show. But I do think as a little teaser, dipping your toes in the pool with your ESPN relationship, it's a good start. It's a fair start. I think people get a little overly critical sometimes of the wrestling product. Expectations get built up high. Sure, I understand that, but at the same time, too, it's just like wrestling is a year-round product. If you give everybody everything all at once on a big show, then where are you going from there? I don't know. I think it's fair grade. Hats off to ESPN for allowing Andres to speak his mind on that. So, yes, I encourage those critics on social media, if they dare to heed any advice, is to not speak in such broad terms. Again, ESPN did not review WWE. Andres Hale of ESPN reviewed WWE WrestlePalooza, and he did a good job. So that'll do it. I just wanted to do something live again, interact with everybody. And Triple E, thanks for chiming in quite a bit on here. And Mike Sweeney as well. Gremlin House Wrestling. I'm sorry it's not one of a kind this week or tonight, but it will be later on this week. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you next time here on Brass Ring Media. Oh, yeah, if you're tuning in on X or whatever, go to brassringmedia.com. Like, share, subscribe. Help us get the word out about this brand that we're doing. Zach Haydorn does great live shows too as well, Brass Ring Media Show. We have Robert on here who does the Nocturnal Knockout. We have Ashley Mann, Kick Ash podcast every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. She goes live, and it's a fun interaction show there. She recaps the week, SmackDown in particular, and some other stuff too that went on throughout the week. So always join in on that. Have some fun. It's a fun channel, fun network to be a part of, and want you all to be a part of it too. So see you next time here on Brass Ring Media. I'm going to call it the hotline. Always remember, call 1-900-909-9900.